You know when people describe something as fan fiction, it's usually used as an insult. I before have used that in a derogatory manner. Well, number one, that's snobbish behaviour, don't be a dick. And number two, what's the point distinguishing between a script and a fan script in a post-RTD Moffat world? We have this fucking nerd on TV shouting about the Colin Baker era running the show. And then this dweeb shouting about this guy running the show. Sometimes, played in the right notes, a little bit of wish fulfillment can go a long way. Fan service doesn't have to be a dirty word if done with the right intentions and the right story. Supremacy of the Cybermen, or how the Cybermen got their groove back, is one such story. A 5-part Titan comic range event written by Cavan Scott and George Mann. Oh, where have I heard that name before? Oh, one of the best pieces of Doctor Who media ever written. If you want to tackle a story of this multitude, yeah, get the guy who did the Time War justice. Today I'm telling you about Supremacy because it's a verified 10 out of 10 from me. One of those perfect mixes of story, writer and medium, playing in the Doctor Who sandbox. Sorry Daleks, this is the time that the Cybermen upped the Time War. But Davis, how can you do your Dalek darlings dirty like this? Well, although it's very comparable to the Time War, it's a lot more immediate. I find this story a lot scarier than the vague goings-on across eons of the Time War battles. The incomprehensible Lovecraftian war amongst the stars is great, but it's tied only to your own imagination. But when the Cybermen do it, there's nothing ambiguous about it. Your planet? Cyberman. Your mum? Cyberman. The Daleks might be cruel and powerful, but the Cybermen are efficient. Give them the cheat codes, and watch them have a big fun day out. This isn't some big battle you can debate entering. Reality got rewritten in the Cybermen's image overnight, and 4 different sets of TARDIS team are playing catch-up. The Cybermen already won, and these doctors are late to the party and about to experience their worst nightmares. The 12th Doctor arrives on Khan amidst a Cyberman invasion, soon realizing the Gallifrey is now occupied by the Gallifreyan cyber fleet, after a desperate exiled Rassilon offered them the keys to the kingdom. With reality and time being rewritten around them, 9, 10 and 11 must combat, frankly, situations they cannot win. As the 11th Doctor is captured by cyber reptilia, 10 becomes a war general with Sontarans in their final stand, as 9 kamikazes his way into cyber London. Think of the worst possible thing that could happen in a 9th Doctor story. Think of the very worst day you can for 11. And that's what we have here. Torture porn. My god, call me an edgelord, but for my favourite fictional character, I sure do like seeing the Doctor lose a lot. And I mean all of them. Get ready to see 13 different incarnations crash and burn. Including Ace being converted and strangling the 7th. The 1st Doctor just telling Susan to run, right at the beginning back in Totter's Lane. And even the 4th being turned on by K9. They got K9! I never trusted that rat bastard. I love end of days stakes. They're my favourite kind of story because even if they can be overblown, fast-paced and frankly traumatic, they push these characters to their truest selves. No more brave faces, no more silly acts. When the world is ending, when their worlds are ending, they show you who they really are. And that kind of story is refreshing. Not to mention we have a series with a near demigod character. Every now and then you want to be reminded that he is not invincible. Take him out of his comfort zone, put him in new situations. Namely, inside a giant cyber mech and letting him go anime berserk mode. Interestingly, this is a crossover event where the Doctors don't actually ever meet up. These are 4 disconnected stories, with 9, 10, 11 and 12 fighting their final battles. And my god, is it glorious. Although I'd never call it safe. Trust me, it's anything but that. For comic readers like me, it might seem like familiar ground. 4 Doctors crossing over in rewritten history, using established events in the show to form a plot where one old baddie forms a union with another old baddie. It's familiar ground. But I don't really view that as a negative, per se. 4 Doctors from 2015 follows the same template. But that story is also a 10 out of 10. And this time they let Eccleston come and play too. If I had to criticise, maybe I'd go for the art. This is not some of Titan Comics' best work. And although it's always very expressive, maybe it doesn't keep up with the scale of the rest of the story. It's also very fast-paced, with so much plot being stuffed into 5 issues. That's not a negative for me, because every page is just stuffed with nightmare horror upon nightmare horror. And the ending, it was inevitable. It's a proper Doctor Who ending, let's just say that. A resolution that works with the emotional payoff between characters, but is still a bit of an arsepull. Before we've even joined the story, the Silurians, the Daleks, the Rutans, the Sisterhood of Khan, and the Time Lords have all been taken down a peg, and humanity and Sontar are next in line. Every single rule and weakness about the Cybermen has just been undone. They can convert you in midair. They can use any species as material. And the thing is with the Cybermen, once they've won, there's more Cybermen. The TV show keeps trying to make them a noteworthy threat by making them something that they're not. But these Cybermen, though all of their victories, all of their upgrades, they are still the scraggler survivors. They're Frankenstein's monster, they're the zombies. And it's their simple premise that leads them to victory. I find that a lot scarier than the Time War. You almost want them to win for the sheer amount of skill and ingenuity on play. Yeah, fair to you, Cyber Controller. Like, guys, have it. You earned it. It's hard to describe the scope of this story because there's not much to compare it to. Imagine like 5 Stolen Earths, or maybe Terra Firma. Maybe that bit in Name of the Doctor where Clara jumps into the Doctor's time stream. That little gem. But we're thinking too small. The real closest comparison is a Marvel event. You know when Marvel just want to blow up their entire universe and rewrite reality with their characters? They do it quite often. Oh, they did it to Doctor Who. This is a Marvel-scale event written by a sadist. It's like a Cyberman fanboy pivoted the series underneath their boots, leading them to win basically every victory possible in the Whoniverse. The revival really likes playing the trump card of time can be rewritten. There was even a series finale that rested on it, where the main villain walked into the Doctor's timeline, undid everything, and then 2 minutes later it's fine. See, modern Who can't really do that. That's such a big, ambitious thing to say. It's a cool concept, but you can never walk the walk. Then we go over to comics. Then suddenly, the BBC budget and the kiddie breaks are off. If a villain could rewrite time, it would be the most terrifying, unstoppable thing imaginable. Chibnall can try as he might to make the Cybermen some uber-capable threat, with cyber teeth and cyber tits. Strike free and you're out, Chris. But I can't help but think he is neglecting the core concept. Don't be ashamed of what the Cybermen are. And when I see so much militant creativity, rampant ambition and storytelling that is as efficient as the Cyber Legion themselves, you have to wonder, why are all the good ideas on the backbench? Where is all this enthusiasm, love for the show, and ambition in the main series? Now, we know that Chris Chibnall is a lifelong Doctor Who fan, much like ourselves, even if he does slam Trial of a Time Lord. But it was reading this, an official piece of glorified fanfiction that isn't dependent on nostalgia or references, but is more emboldened by them. It makes me realise there's nothing wrong with writing as a fan. Obscure references to things from the past isn't good fan service, it's just trivia. Use your love for the show in your writing, in your stories. Be proud of the show and use it. Frankly, that's something I wish the TV show did more often. Supremacy is one of my favourite Doctor Who stories ever written. And you can buy it for cheap in a paperback. Support your local bookstore!